Hi, my name is Lisa Mackey, and I'm with Spidell Publishing. I'm going to talk a little bit today about PTIN renewals and CE requirements for EAs, RTRPs, and CRTPs. The IRS has opened their PTIN registration website, and preparers may now go online to renew their PTIN for the 2013 filing season. When registering for this, you will need your personal information such as your name, your mailing address, and date of birth. You will also need your business information, which includes your business name, your business mailing address, and business telephone number. The IRS will also be asking for any explanations for felony convictions and any explanations for problems with your U.S. individual or business tax obligations. A credit or debit card for the $63 PTIN user fee will also be required. If applicable, your supervisor's PTIN will be required, and any U.S.-based professional certification information, including your certification number, your jurisdiction of issuance, and the expiration date. If you are an RTRP or prospective RTRP, you must self-certify that you have completed or plan to complete your continuing education requirements by December 31st. In 2012, RTRPs and provisional PTIN holders will be required to report CPE when they renew or request a PTIN. For the current year, preparers will self-report. However, while preparers are self-reporting, CPE providers are required to report education completed by these preparers to the IRS for potential cross-checking. Enrolled agents will self-certify their hours for the past 3 years at license renewal time. EAs who must renew at the end of 2012 will self-report their education, including self-certifying that they have completed their ethics requirement. Beginning in 2013, continuing education hours must be reported to the IRS by providers if you are an enrolled agent or tax preparer. An enrolled agent who also holds a CPA or bar license must report CPE hours to the licensing state and to the IRS when renewing their PTIN. The continuing education providers will report hours to the IRS using PTINs. According to the IRS, it is the obligation of the preparer to provide the correct PTIN. If an incorrect PTIN or no PTIN is reported, credit will not be provided. The provider is required to request the PTIN from the attendee on the registration form and at the event if it is a live event, and make at least one follow-up contact to the individual if the PTIN does not match the IRS records. The IRS also reminds PTIN holders that the name on the PTIN must match exactly with the name that is currently associated with the PTIN in the IRS records, and that PTINs do not change from year to year, and the IRS will not accept education reports for a PTIN with an expired status. PTINs must either be active or provisional, or no credit will be reported. For courses attended in the last quarter of each year, education providers must report hours within 10 business days of completing the qualified CPE course. It is unclear how long it will take after the CPE is reported for the IRS to match the hours against the PTIN holder's records. Again, this should not be a problem for 2012 reporting because individuals will attest to their hours. However, for 2013 renewals, there could be a problem if hours are not properly matched to the PTIN holder's names. A good way for you to avoid this problem is to make sure that the provider has your PTIN. If the provider does not have your PTIN, your hours will not be reported, you will not get credit, the PTIN renewal will be denied if you don't meet the minimum required education, and you will not be able to sign or prepare tax returns. To avoid this dilemma, we suggest that you bring your PTIN and exact name you use to any seminar, and be sure that number and name is listed on your CPE certificate that you turn in after the course is complete, or is on the certificate you receive after a webinar or self-study. You also need to contact any CPE providers from whom you have taken courses in 2012. If you did not provide your PTIN, do so now and verify the exact spelling of your name. Use the spelling from your PTIN application for verification. We also recommend that you immediately answer any emails, phone calls, or mail from providers who may be trying to obtain or verify your PTIN. And always turn in your CPE certificate before leaving a seminar. Providers are required to obtain these at the seminar, not by fax or mail later. And with prompt reporting, if the provider doesn't have your CPE certificate, you may not get credit. With regards to other PTIN issues, the IRS is sensitive to the security of the PTIN system. Thus, the provider will collect the PTIN for their records. But the IRS has instructed CPE providers not to have preparers have their PTINs listed on a sheet that is available for everyone to see. As for fraud, many practitioners have expressed concern over PTIN fraud, and the concern is well-founded. The Freedom of Information Act requires the IRS to release certain information about PTIN holders, including your name, the business website address, business phone number, business mailing address, email address, and your professional credentials. If you believe your PTIN has been compromised, use Form 14157 to report misuse to the IRS. There is a box in Section 11A for PTIN misuse. Also, be sure to include any information you may have regarding the person or entity using your PTIN. As for new IRS staffing, the IRS announced that David Williams, Director of the Return Prepare Office, will be replaced by Carol Campbell, currently the IRS Deputy Chief of Staff and previously counsel to the National Taxpayer Advocate. For the 2012 year, the IRS will have a self-certify option for RTRPs in the PTIN system. The individual will indicate whether he or she has met the 15-hour requirement or will complete the requirement by the end of the year. Enrolled agents will continue to report their hours at renewal and will self-certify when renewing their EA license. However, the IRS anticipates that, at some point in time in the future, enrolled agents will renew through the same system as RTRPs, meaning that the IRS will match CPE through the PTIN. Unfortunately, the CTEC year goes from November 1st through October 31st, and the IRS operates on a calendar year. This means that CRTPs who are also RTRPs will have courses that qualify in different years. An example of this is Joe is an RTRP and CRTP. He took a 3-hour federal tax update course in December 2012. The course qualifies for credit in the 2012-2013 period for CTEC and qualifies for IRS credit in the 2012 calendar year. The new Circular 230 regulations finalize the designation of a new class of tax practitioner, the Registered Tax Return Preparer. This designation applies for individuals who are paid to prepare returns but are not already licensed as EAs, CPAs, or attorneys. That means individuals who are currently registered with CTEC will also be required to register as RTRPs. And RTRPs practicing in California will still be required to be registered with CTEC. In order to become an RTRP, you must obtain a PTIN, take and pass the RTRP competency test, and pass a tax compliance check. Practitioners who are not licensed as EAs, CPAs, or attorneys are currently being issued provisional PTINs and have until December 31st, 2013 to successfully complete the RTRP competency test. The exam is now available, and the IRS has begun issuing test results to those who have completed the exam. Individuals who pass the test must pass a tax compliance check performed by the IRS. The check is generally completed a few weeks after the test score is issued. Those who pass both the test and the compliance check will receive a Registered Tax Return Preparer Certificate. Only those tax return preparers who receive the certificate can call themselves Registered Tax Return Preparers. Non-exempt paid tax preparers are required to complete continuing education requirements on an annual basis. EAs, CPAs, and attorneys are exempt from these continuing education requirements, but have their own requirements. The annual requirements for RTRPs are as follows: 3 hours of federal update, 10 hours of federal tax law, and 2 hours of ethics. If a preparer has excess federal update hours, those hours will be transferred to and counted as federal tax law hours. However, excess ethics hours are lost and are not counted as either federal tax update or federal tax hours. For CTEC purposes, the requirements are the same as the IRS requirement, with the additional requirement of 5 hours of California CPE. Beginning with the renewal cycle ending October 31st, 2012, CRTPs must complete a total of 20 hours. 15 hours of those are federal credit hours, which include 3 federal update, 10 federal tax law, and 2 hours of ethics. They also require an additional 5 hours of California credit. Like the IRS, if the preparer has excess federal update hours, those hours will be transferred to and counted as federal tax law hours. However, excess ethics hours are lost and are not counted as either federal tax update or federal tax law hours. EAs are required to complete 72 hours of continuing education, including 6 hours of ethics or professional conduct during each 3-year renewal cycle. A minimum of 16 hours, including 2 hours of ethics, must be completed during each year of the renewal cycle. EAs are not subject to the federal tax update or federal tax law requirements, so an EA may complete all non-ethics hours with federal tax law hours. Members of CSEA and NAEA must complete 30 hours per year of education. The additional 6 hours can be in non-IRS qualified education, such as state tax or practice management. This brings us to the end of our presentation. Just a few reminders before we go. I just wanted to remind everyone that you can go online now and renew your PTIN. Also, a quick reminder to please contact your CE providers to review PTIN information and make sure that they have everything correctly. You'll want to verify your PTIN, and you also want to verify your name and make sure that they have it as it is listed with the IRS. Also, please remember, if providers do not get your PTIN, you will not be able to get credit for the courses you have completed. So this is very important that they have your PTIN and your name correctly. Thank you so much.